missing piece is found. You know when you're by my side, darling, nothing can break us down. I remember happy wasted days, summer's golden haze in our eyes, lifting you above the breaking waves, memories floating back to my mind. You said, hold the line, I won't let go, 'cause I'll be there when you can finally make it home.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nick Mooney.
Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for coming to our innovation keynote, Unleashing the Power of Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. I'm Nick Mooney. I run product management for NetSuite's Cloud Operations department. We've got a really awesome talk today. It is beginner level. We are going to talk about some really technical concepts, but we think that they are pretty high level, and we're going to do our best to explain concepts as we go so that we feel it's accessible to everyone. It's also not very often that we get to talk about what's under the hood of NetSuite, what powers NetSuite and makes it go and available to you all the time. So we hope that it's interesting and novel to everyone as well. This is our safe harbor statement. I'm sure you've seen this in other talks. We like to talk about stuff that's in progress, stuff that we're working on, stuff that might happen. The winds may also change, so please don't make any financial investment decisions based off of what you hear today. My role is mostly an MC today. I have the privilege of introducing three really incredible speakers. Chris Bloom is co-founder of NetSuite and our chief security architect. Sean Fay is our vice president of infrastructure. Edward Chang is vice president of program management. Innovation is a daily topic for us at NetSuite. One of our core missions is to help our customers' businesses grow. That's why there are so many Suite World themes centered around this idea: grow beyond, full suite ahead. NetSuite is a superpower. And innovation is the way that we do that. In a field like business, you innovate or you die. In order to grow, you need to stay competitive. You need differentiators. You need to innovate. And this is true from CRP to ERP to CRM to ERP to commerce. It's also true under the hood when we think about our cloud infrastructure and our operations. We need to innovate as well. We've taken some really major leaps in the past few years, many of which were powered by Oracle technologies, things that have accelerated us towards our goals and opened doors for us to innovate and do some things that we never could before. I could probably give a whole conference talking about these technologies, but we've only got an hour together, so we're going to focus on just two of them: Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and OCI's Artificial Intelligence Services. We've got three sections, three speakers. Sean is going to start off by talking about infrastructure as code, how our philosophy has shifted from thinking about infrastructure as physical devices to thinking about infrastructure as software. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure has allowed us to do that. Edward is then going to talk about this machine learning platform that we have launched and some of OCI's artificial intelligence services that we are integrating to provide really exciting new features inside of NetSuite. And then Chris is going to bring both of those topics together and some Oracle technologies to talk about how infrastructure as code, machine learning are amplifying our security posture. One final thought to carry with you as you go through the presentation. Infrastructure is under the hood. Not all of the benefits are really tangible and directly benefit our customers and our partners. But there are a lot of really great insights in here. And so even if we talk about things that don't have a direct impact on you, we hope that some of these lessons from what a multi-billion-dollar company is doing and what we're thinking about infrastructure will also be helpful for you, maybe in non-NetSuite use cases as well. So we'll talk about some direct benefits, but some indirect benefits as well. Let's get to the good stuff. Sean's going to come up and talk about infrastructure as code.
Thanks, Nick. So Nick, Edward, and Chris and I are here today to talk about how we're leveraging Oracle Cloud to help us innovate and transform the way we do our jobs. So it's probably worth explaining a little bit about what our jobs are. We represent the Cloud Operations group within NetSuite. And the mission of Cloud Operations is to deliver the NetSuite service to customers with the best possible security, reliability, and performance. When you log on to NetSuite, it's our job to make sure that you are who you say you are. and that every interaction you have with the system is secure. It's our job to get your requests to where your data lives, to make sure that there are always plenty of computers available and ready to process those requests quickly. It's our job to make sure that all the data in your account is safe, secure, and backed up. We do all this so that customers don't have to. And that's a big part of what software as a service is all about. We host the software so our customers can focus on running and growing their businesses. And we measure our success on our ability to do these things better over time, even as we support the growth of NetSuite's business and the growth of our customers' businesses. But just doing an amazing job of hosting isn't enough. Software as a service wouldn't be exciting without great new features and constant improvements to the product. So not only do we have to do a great job of hosting the software, we have to make sure NetSuite feature developers have access to all the capabilities they need to build amazing features. Okay, so Cloud Operations has a pretty big job. And part of that job is to abstract over all the details of the infrastructure needed to deliver the service to our customers. That lets our product teams concentrate on building the best features. And it means our customers never have to worry about all the computers and the networks that run the software, not to mention patching, upgrading, and keeping all the data secure. Instead, they get to focus on running their businesses. For most of NetSuite's history, that's meant a lot of very hands-on work, building out racks of computers and data centers, connecting miles of cabling, and replacing drives and power supplies when they fail. We got pretty good at that. But over the past couple of years, we've been migrating into Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI. We do that by building on top of OCI's infrastructure as a service capability. Part of the power of infrastructure as a service is ease of access. We can make computers and networks just at the click of the button. But it's not enough to just leverage the button clicking. We can do better than that. Because now that we can build programmatically using APIs to program the infrastructure, we can also get huge gains in repeatability and consistency. So in fact, our strategy for building on OCI doesn't involve clicking buttons. Sorry, can we go to the next slide? Let's see. All right, so our strategy on OCI doesn't involve clicking buttons. Instead, we make machine-readable blueprints for everything we build and write software that knows how to translate those blueprints into actual deployments of computers, networks, and storage. This seems simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It means we get to apply software development methodology, code reviews, version control, testing to everything we do. That leads to higher quality and easier collaboration across teams. It's repeatable and reusable. So it makes us more efficient and predictable when it comes to building out the infrastructure we need to serve new customers. But scaling up NetSuite is just part of the power of this approach. Being able to assemble NetSuite infrastructure from a blueprint unlocks entirely new capabilities for us. Everything from giving an individual engineer a miniaturized version of our production environment to building out dedicated validation environments that let us test at huge scale. This capability has transformed the way that we approach development and testing. And it lets us deliver change faster and with higher quality than ever before. This approach, this is what we call infrastructure as code, means we always know what the plan for a NetSuite deployment is because we test it and we validate it continuously. And we know that what we build matches the plan because the software enforces that. So of course, one of the things that we get from this is we can build new deployments of NetSuite faster and more efficiently. That's let us get to where we are today, with the majority of NetSuite customers now hosted on OCI. We've used this approach to open data centers in 10 OCI regions, with more on the way. For the first time, we can serve customers locally in the APAC region. We've been able to do all of this quickly and without stretching our operational teams too thin. But building faster and more efficiently is just the start. By making it easier to build copies of NetSuite data centers, we unlock a whole new approach to scaling. One of the basic things we have to do is make sure that there's plenty of NetSuite capacity in each region we build in to accommodate the customers that want to be deployed there. Historically, that meant we had to build some data centers that were pretty big, some that were not so big. Now, with infrastructure as code, we can take a different approach. We treat the data center itself as a building block, and we scale just by making more. So when we fill up a deployment, what we call a logical data center, in a given region, we just build another one. This cookie-cutter approach means we have fewer surprises. Our systems behave predictably because we operate them at the same scale everywhere. And it means when something does go wrong, because, yeah, that still happens sometimes, the bad thing impacts fewer customers. Having data centers that look the same also improves manageability. When we want to make a change, like introducing a new service, we start by updating the code. We get to review it, and we get to test it. And when we go to roll it out everywhere, we have confidence that it's going to work, both because we've tested it and because we know we're starting from the same state in every data center. And because the change went into the code, we know that new data centers we build will have that new service included. Everything converges on the same consistent state. So we really like software for building infrastructure. But that's not all. It turns out you can apply this software development approach to manage things at even higher levels of the stack. We have lots and lots of routine maintenance that we need to do in order to keep NetSuite patched and backed up and upgraded. We deploy new customers every day, and we do lots of rearranging behind the scenes to keep everything running smoothly. And we can write software for all of that. We call these software systems controllers. And while they bring all the benefits of automation, efficiency, consistency, repeatability, there's a lot more than that too. Letting lots of different teams internally write controllers means we can bring specialization to bear, continuously optimizing each operational process. We get all the benefits of software methodology we already talked about: peer review, version control, testability, and now we can approach improvements to NetSuite operations as feature development work. Finally, because each of these controllers exposes an API, it means we can start to compose operations in novel ways, and we can break up work into smaller pieces with more fine-grained control over the timing. This has been behind the scenes of some major new capabilities, like letting customers pick their own dates for upgrades and for maintenance. Moving to OCI, shifting our philosophy to thinking about infrastructure as code, and managing our operations through an abstracted control plane, these have been leaps for us as infrastructure. But that's just the start. OCI provides dozens of services like certificate management, Terraform, OpenSearch, Kubernetes, secrets management, artificial intelligence, and machine learning capabilities that we get to take advantage of, and we don't have to build them ourselves. Partnering with OCI gives us a multiplier as we look at the future. We will continue to leverage their investments and their new offerings as they become available, faster than we would build them ourselves. We're already experimenting with evolutionary new technologies like autonomous database. OCI is building out data centers in new regions, and they're accelerating our efforts in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Up next, I'd like to welcome Edward Chang, Vice President of Program Management here at NetSuite, who's going to talk about how we're innovating and advancing NetSuite through the use of machine learning and AI.
Thank you, Sean. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is exciting to be in Las Vegas. It is even more exciting to be in Las Vegas for Suite World. And again, my name is Edward Chang. I'm the VP of Program Management, responsible for introducing advanced technologies focused on increasing business values for customers. And thanks to Nick for introducing the topic of unleashing the power of OCI. And I'm going to focus on one area of that theme, and that is machine learning and AI. And I'll make sure to cover 4 topics in this talk with you. And first and foremost, I want you to know this is a very exciting time in NetSuite because we are working to turn a lot of these machine learning features and techniques into values for customers. Secondly, we are not doing this only by creating a group of people working on machine learning, but rather we have a strategic way of including our customers in doing this machine learning work. And part of it is making sure that all these machine learning solutions are trained in realistic environment, in customer environment, making sure that the solution is applicable and accurate for our customer. Thirdly, through this discussion, you will see that we are not only applying machine learning in some areas in NetSuite, we are trying to make it pervasive, machine learning everywhere in NetSuite, such that we empower and enable our people to use machine learning as a tool to improve not only our product, but also the way we provide the services to you. Finally, then I will use some time to share with you some of the exciting technologies, some of the pioneering machine learning techniques that we are collaborating, working on with OCI. So everybody agree machine learning is growing. FBI estimated this growth will continue. Not that FBI, this is Fortune Business Insights. They estimated for the past 5 years, there had been a more than 10 times growth in the market value. And this will continue in the next 5 years. What is unique is that we are entering a new era for machine learning, such that this is the golden age that many of this fundamental research, empirical research in machine learning, will be applied in realistic customer environment. And that is this coming next 5 years. And some of the major industries that are poised to receive most fruit or most values from this machine learning include those industries that many of our customers are in, such as software and IT, cybersecurity, food and beverages, retails, wholesales, financial services, you name it. And so we are there to basically focus on this era, this next few years, try to move all these machine learning techniques into customer values. At the same time, there are many new technologies in machine learning that are maturing in such a way that we can actually use them. And the top 5 trends, according to industry research, is that they actually have to do with some of the work that we are working with AI services. The top one is what they call no-code or low-code. Basically, it's the idea that they are pre-trained model that you can actually use it and already turn it into a product feature. And that is the theme of AI services that I will share with you in a minute. Another great area is called AutoML. We are also working with Oracle Labs in this area. The idea of AutoML is a platform enabling our data scientists to select some of the latest machine learning models to be used in solving the machine learning solvable problems. And we are working on that with Oracle Labs. A third one is very, very important, and that is in doing machine learning, you don't want to do it one project at a time. That would be too time-consuming, and that would also use too much of your people resource. And so what you want to do is to have a platform technology, what they call ML Ops. The platform basically manages end-to-end machine learning life cycle. And in doing that, therefore, you are not just doing developing the model, training the model, releasing the model, but also monitoring it, retraining it, and then go back to maybe remodel in solving the problem better. And then there are new technologies that are the rapid growth technology are in the area of large language model and also in transformer. And some of the technologies that are getting more mature in the area of unsupervised learning and reinforcement learning. These are technologies that are particularly strong in supporting things like anomaly detection that later I will share with you, that we embrace these technologies and again apply it in product features and also in providing better services. Now in NetSuite, we are not doing this in silo. We are not hiding ourselves in a research lab doing this work for you. What we do is we actually strategically created a program a few years ago called the NetSuite Machine Learning Program. The goal, the focus of this program is actually to think about how do we strategically collaborate with our customer in doing the R&D in AI and ML. There are three major goals that we want to accomplish with this program. Number one is we want to actually talk to our customer, converse with our customer, understand their challenges, their wish list in terms of wanting more business insights, more intelligence. And then we apply the machine learning technologies that we are working with in Oracle and turn that into business value, into product features for them. Secondly, also what we want to do is we understand machine learning is based on learning. So in order for the machine, for the program to learn, you need information and data. And of course, we can fabricate the data for it to learn. And like I said earlier, a lot of the machine learning models nowadays, they are pre-trained by millions and millions of cases. And as a result, you can use them. However, in order to make it such that it is more applicable, more accurate for our customers, sometimes we have to do some retraining or further training. And to do that, instead of fabricating data, we work with our customer to train the model in the realistic environment. To do that, we rewrite our SSA, the Software Service Agreement, such that it is more transparent, allowing our customer to know how do we protect their data, store their data, and also process their data to do better machine learning. Thirdly, what we also want to do, as I said, is not just enabling our product side to build machine learning features, but we want this to be democratized, the machine learning to be democratized in NetSuite in such a way that different areas of NetSuite can actually apply machine learning to do decision support, decision making. So with all that, I think what is important is what are the technologies that actually NetSuite has in conjunction with OCI that would enable you guys to move the machine learning techniques into the market. And the platform in OCI is called AI Services. In Oracle, there are roughly about 200 groups of R&D teams that are working on machine learning and AI research. And all these groups are connected with OCI and getting their research results through AI Services platform into the hands of customers through people like NetSuite, right? So you can look at AI services as having three categories of technologies or services. The first one is called the document vision. What document vision enables us to do is we can scan thousands and thousands and thousands of forms, invoices, receipts that are all of different formats, shapes, and forms. But being able to extract the key information out regardless of how that form is laid out by different companies. And as a result, we can extract the data and process the data intelligently and increase the automation of the software. So you can imagine with this kind of solution, we can enable features such as bill capture in AP automation in NetSuite. This technology is also powerful because it is able to process multiple languages, foreign languages, as well as multi-currency. So this is good stuff that we are using today. The second category of AI services is what we call decision-making and forecasting. Now, with the document vision service that I mentioned, you can imagine, sure, you can extract key values from a form or from a receipt. But how are you going to determine where do you put this information into NetSuite software? The attributes in NetSuite software may not be the same as the title on the form. And so how do you do that match? Not only that, sometimes when you extract a value, a key value out of a form, that one key value may map to multiple attributes in your NetSuite forms. So for example, you extract an address, but it might be mapped into address, city, and state, right? So how are you going to do that kind of intelligent decision making? And that is with this technology here. With this, not only that we are able to connect with what I call the document vision service, but also this technology enables us to process time series data that human mind had no way to capture and process with that amount of data and remember the long duration of the data. So with this technology, we are able to find patterns in, let's say, season of the year, in different shopping seasons, for example, or the day of the month or day of week have different performance or have different behavior in the environment. And so we process data and the software behave differently. And so with this kind of technology, it's particularly well suited for business fraud detection, for example, or for security, doing anomaly detection to detect cyber attack before they actually happen. So one of the product features that are rolling out with this technology is our intelligent recommendation engine in Suite Commerce, basically using it to give recommendation for users in terms of what might be the interesting product that they want to buy or they want to see. The last categories of service in AI service is called the language and speech service. Speech might not be verbal speech. It can be speech to text, so it can be typed in. So naturally, you can imagine this would be ideal to support intelligence features such as global search, right? The natural feature would be to respond back to customer when they search for relevant information. But more than that, so we can recommend contents based on what other users are doing in the environment or what is going on in the world, right? So that is an exciting technology that is rapidly growing today in the world. And with natural language processing, as I said, large language model and transformer, we are able to have very intelligent interaction with the customer. We will be able to understand questions that are a little bit more complex. So for example, you can ask questions such as, what are the top 3 risks that I face with my inventory strategy? Now, even just to understand the question itself is not simple. This is trying to understand a natural language, converting it into a graph. However, once the system understands the question, once the system understands what we are trying to solve the problem is actually not as complicated. And so when we get to this point, you might feel like, wow, this is, going into almost like a Marvel movie or maybe a Star Trek story kind of thing. But this is real. This is actually backed by some of the newest technologies that Oracle is working on. As I said, over 200 research teams are doing many of this technology. One of them is AutoML. I already talked about it, that basically accelerate moving machine learning techniques into product feature. Secondly is a product in Oracle called OAC, Oracle Analytic Cloud. It is able to process data without the assistance of human being. So you dump it a data set and it performs the analysis for you. Not only being able to draw some charts for you, but it actually would be able to return back to you some intelligent commentaries, just like a human being, telling you the observation of that data set. And very importantly, of course, in Oracle, we work with Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse together with OCI Data Lake. That is a product called Data Lakehouse. With that, we basically enable us to create data pipeline in a very short time, supporting machine learning in a secured environment. With all that, what I can say is here in NetSuite, we will not stop there. So this is only the beginning of returning intelligence and business insight back to our customer by applying machine learning techniques. We will collaborate with OCI continually in AI services to invent, to innovate more machine learning techniques for you to do your business, increase your business values. At the same time, in NetSuite, we actually have teams of data scientists that are building in-house, custom-built machine learning models that solve very unique machine learning solvable problems that are unique to our customers. And we are working on that as well. Not only that, we enable the customers to directly experience the result in the product, but we are also working with groups like the Cloud Ops groups, the security operations groups, in such a way that they apply machine learning to do adaptive security to protect the environment. Now with that, let me turn your attention to the next topic, a very important topic for NetSuite, but also for our customers, and that is security. Let me introduce our Chief Security Architect and Co-founder, Chris Bloom.
Thank you very much, Edward. Well, security. So obviously, these are very exciting times to be in security. In fact, it's a really exciting time to be in cloud operations. It's very exciting to be here today because it's not always that we get to come out of the cloud and come talk to the humans again, right? So we spend a lot of time with the computers. We love the computers, but it's good to be here today at Sweet World with you to tell you a little bit about what happens behind the scenes. NetSuite has gone through a lot of changes over the years, and we've certainly changed how we do things behind the scenes. So we change how, when our customers scale, we scale to match the needs of their business on the cloud side. We've also changed how, when security threats escalate, we respond with new technologies. And it's exciting right now because, as obviously Edward and Sean told you, there are some really cool new tricks out there for us to play with. I want to talk to you a little bit about how we're using them for security and maybe how they have a little bit of a direct benefit to you. Let's start with some machine learning-based anomaly detection. So machine learning platform is being put to use right now, and we're applying it to shorten the identification between the moment at which an attacker begins to point their weapons at us and the moment that we see it. Right? We want to accelerate that cycle on identification, and we're looking to also accelerate the cycle on mitigation. We're pretty fast right now, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, but we want to be even faster. Let me give you some context. First, let's talk about the threat environment. Maybe not everybody in here is a security nerd like some of us up here. So the threat environment is always changing. It's dynamic. It's more hostile than it's ever been, and we're finding that the capabilities of the threat environment are changing and increasing as well. So what do we have to do to respond to that? Well, we have to do everything. We have to continue covering all the security domains we've always covered, but we also have to come along and reevaluate every security control, every policy, every standard, and make sure that it's up to the changes that the environment are facing as well. We want to make sure that when we look at something and say it's secure based on a new threat model, we can be accurate in saying that. So this year, what we're doing is launching an ML-based anomaly detection service that will look at security logs and begin to report suspicious behavior. Last year, a week before Black Friday, we suffered an interesting attack. We saw a new form of credential stuffing going against customer accounts. Now, credential stuffing happens all the time. Bad guys go out, they collect known compromised credentials, and they stick them into any application out there to see, hey, maybe this user reused their password here or over there. Well, this time it was new. It was a little bit different in how they were doing scripting, how they were hiding their tracks. They were using an entirely new botnet. It was tricky. So what we needed to do was identify a method to put all that traffic together and then mitigate the traffic. So our security operations team did identify the threat very quickly. We applied a quick fix. We created a smart filter that eventually stamped out all of the edge cases. And the threat was completely mitigated, and the attack noise went to 0, and the consequence was all the customer accounts, hopefully yours especially, enjoyed a smooth and effective Black Friday experience, Cyber Monday experience, because that attack traffic, which was pretty noisy, was gone. So again, we're fast, we can do these things, but wouldn't it have been nice if instead we took the ML technology we have now and we'd been able to reduce that time to near 0 on the identification? If we'd taken the ML technology we have now and we dialed down the response mitigation, and the humans could do more monitoring to make sure the mitigations are effective or not too protective and limiting what the customers are experiencing. That's where we're going next with this technology, so that we can zero in on exactly what we want with greater automation and precision and accelerate our response times. Sean talked a lot about infrastructure as code, and it's not just useful for building entire data centers, but it is. It's also useful for faster patching and stricter security. I'm going to talk about a few of these areas right now. Security at birth. Infrastructure at code lets us reason about the purpose of every computer long before it gets brought into existence. It's about the understanding of what everything is supposed to do. The NetSuite service is comprised of a constellation of thousands of computers with clusters of very specialized nodes that know how to talk to each other in specialized ways. And we want to be able to bring up those clusters together, get them operating together effectively, and then decide they're secure. And so with infrastructure as code, we get to program all that in real time, open up a lab, virtual lab, spin it all up, and then turn it all on. And that's about the moment that Sean says, hey, Chris, we turned it all on, nothing can talk to each other. And so then security shows up, and we start applying some firewall rules that let the things talk to one another. And we apply our standard security vision. We have least privilege, separation of duties, default deny, the kinds of controls and principles that I'm sure you use in other parts of your business. And we use those to decide how to minimally permit all the traffic among all these different clusters. And eventually, we get a nice model in the lab that we can test and verify. And the amazing thing with the testing is we get to automate that. Because it's all code, we can automate the code testing, and everything begins to accelerate. Now that I want to spin up an entire new data center, my test cycles begin to shorten. My time to build and validate whole environments begin to get simpler and simpler. And that's why you saw that acceleration where we've gone from 6 data centers in 20 years to more than 20 data centers in the last couple of years. It's incredible. So once we get past all the security automation elements, we can use this automation to accelerate our security responsiveness as well. Once these things are out there and fully operational, we use the automation to patch vulnerabilities quickly. Let me give you an example. Last year around the holidays, there was a common vulnerability. In my circle, it was a big deal. Maybe it didn't make everybody's radar screen. I don't know if you guys pay that much attention to security vulnerabilities. But it was called Log4j, and it was everywhere. Everybody's security teams were sitting down for big holiday banquets and talking to their families about security vulnerabilities, which is always very exciting. It was a time when lots of security teams were stuck in the office trying to deal with computers that needed to be patched. For us, by having the infrastructure as code design and implement already, we went to our systems, we validated what we needed to change, we changed it. It was important. We were alarmed by how bad the vulnerability was, but the need to address it wasn't a crisis for us. And that's what we get out of the automation piece. But we also get to set more rigorous security standards. So we get to decide, now I've got an image, it's good, I can roll it out, but over time we can sandpaper away even further rough edges, minimum down to the fewest things needed for any given kind of node. Again, we have huge clusters of different kinds of computers, and each one we're always trying to take away any remaining residual tiny bit of risk. And over time, infrastructure as code lets us clean those all up. Monitoring. We have a standardized package of security components that get put onto every one of our computers. Those packages want to be able to talk to each other, as well as talk to a sort of fabric of security layers across our data centers and back to our home systems, so the security operations team has visibility onto everything. No single computer gets born without the entire package being pre-installed. And so the monitoring lets us see everything from several dimensions. OCI, by default, gives you a nice vision, a good dashboard onto what's out there, what computers you've turned on. But when you turn on multiple layers of additional monitoring on top of that you can deploy in the base node before it's even birthed, that lets you understand at multiple different layers what the systems are doing and how they're interacting, and lets us set policy on a per node basis everywhere. And finally, we have a lot of developers. We have hired and grown a huge team of worldwide engineers that are trying to push the boundaries of what NetSuite can do year over year for you, our customers. As a result, they want to keep adopting new technologies all the time. You may have heard of software supply chain concerns. Our developers want to take late great technologies and roll them out into NetSuite as well to be part of our story. And so when we use this kind of stricter security with infrastructure as code, we get to be very selective about what goes on those nodes. But we let our developers, once they've found the things that work for them to deploy new features, we can accept that technology and roll it out with the confidence that we need to. We can measure it, we can test it, we can pen test it, approve it, and deploy it, and then do it again and again. Nodes are no longer special. So homogeneous deployments are a boon for security. That's a lot of words. What that means is the fewer things that are different, the simpler it is to harden the one kind of thing that you've got. You don't want a million kinds of computers running in each cluster. You want each one to be as identical as possible. When I say a node, I mean a computer. Let me tell you a little story. So many years ago, we spun up one of our early physical data centers. We call them classic data centers around the house. And we specified all the functions across all the kinds of computers in that building that we thought it would need to make that data center work just like our existing NetSuite data centers. But one of the people who built those computers, one of the on-the-grounds kinds of system administrators, thought they could optimize and create some compressed nodes that had several different functions. That if it got them all together, it would be super efficient. That's unfortunately not to our standard. It wasn't to our standard then. It's not to our standard now. And as a result, by the time the whole data center was ready to go live and our pen test team came in near the end to say, okay, let's make sure everything's good, this one node stuck out like a sore thumb, and we had to clean it up and go detangle all the things we built around it and say, look, you have to build to the standard, you have to follow the model. At a glance, though, it was really hard to see because you could do all the things the data center was supposed to do. You could log into all the systems. They were all using all the kinds of controls you thought. It's just that a whole bunch of the services had been stacked in one computer. Now, it's a hassle to untangle systems like that. It's a hassle to manage that, and there wasn't visibility in the land of physical computers to see that those things had been tied together on one computer. And because now we don't see computers as physical assets, we can do things like just throw that computer away. Today I can push a button and say, that computer is wrong. I destroy it. I make a new one. And this boosts the reliability, but also removes the opportunities for things like malicious code planted on a host, or incompatible patches from an old base version of the operating system. Internally, the cloud operations team has really got this dialed in. And the way that we make sure we tell ourselves we're doing a good job is we manage and measure and review the controls on our business for running the data center the same way that you have KPIs and metrics for measuring your business. When we do readouts on these, we get to look at what's going well and where do we still have work to do. We have an annual meeting where we review what we call the state of the data center. And this is a lovely tradition where we get one cloud operations person to show up, and they have to present to everybody else, the other 1,000 employees, here's how the data centers look. And they go through all of the legacy classic data centers that are still operational, and they go through all the OCI data centers, and they get to tell the story about every computer. And on one of those slides is a list of the 10 oldest computers that are still operating. And you can imagine when we first started doing this tradition that the list of those 10 was pretty old. We weren't all that effective at killing computers as rapidly as you might want to. But you don't want old computers running in your data center. They have warranty issues. Maybe their physical hard drives have mean time between failures, or their SSDs are going to run out of writes, or whatever the problems are. The older they are, they begin to fail. So now it's completely different. When a computer gets old, again, we push a button and it doesn't exist, and push a new button and it's been replaced. Or today, we can push a button and watch a sea of computers get destroyed and literally dissolve away, and press another one and have them all come back in the configuration that we want. Being able to do it for one now means we can do it for many at the same time. And the future is promising. Just as NetSuite invests in security so that our customers don't have to, Oracle makes investments to take our security posture even further. We get to leverage things like OCI Vault, which is a cool new secrets management technology that lets us solve some problems we had to solve ourselves across a broad set of data centers. Or OCI certificate management, another robust solution for letting us deal with how we handle secrets for computers to talk to one another. OCI is bringing even more for us forward. And there are things we don't have to build ourselves. That lets us focus on mapping and improving our own technologies with our own teams more efficiently. We have something over 1,000 engineers in cloud operations at NetSuite, and that's quite a few people for as many computers as we have. But there are thousands upon thousands of people at OCI building the data centers and establishing the locations where we used to have much smaller staff in those physical classic data centers to do the same amount of work. And we get to leverage all of those efficiencies. And it lets us take things like efficient infrastructure as code or AI/ML and the multiplicative effect of engineering, and now we can do more than we ever thought possible before. We've gone through a lot of changes in how we delivered the services, but our operations and security vision has never been brighter. And I'm on board with full suite ahead. Thanks, everybody. Here's Nick.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks, Sean and Edward, for all of these insights. Innovation is a daily conversation for us at NetSuite because it is at the heart of how we power our growth and our customers' growth. And that's true and necessary at every level of NetSuite, including under the hood when we look at things like cloud infrastructure and service delivery. I hope you learned a little bit about how OCI technologies are enabling us to innovate, accelerating us closer to our goals, things like shifting our philosophy about infrastructure from physical devices to code. Things like building a platform for machine learning and integrating artificial intelligence services, and how these things are combining to create multipliers and value like amplifying our security posture. I really appreciate all of your time coming out as well. I hope you have a great night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for more SuiteWorld.